not security or secrecy, is the banner on both sides. Israelis claim an absolute right to settle the region no matter what its juridical status. Tens of thousands have moved among hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who consider the territory theirs. And the Jewish settlements keep expanding, managed by ministers, at least some of whom aspire to drive the Arabs out. Where neither law nor diplomacy decides the right, dangerous emotions take hold. Whether they acquiesce in or resist Israeli rule, the Palestinians abet the Israeli design. They either deny their unhappiness or validate the use of force. And those who collaborate with the Israelis risk murder by the PLO. People placed in such a quandary are destined to become Israel's lifelong enemies. The Israeli settlers, in turn, seem destined to live with the insecurity of conquerors. Although partition or co-administration of the West Bank is still theoretically possible, either course requires a trust that does not exist. The spreading hostility will create irresistible pressures for Israel to annex the West Bank. And that would give even a minority of Jews there the position of a small minority, consigning the Arabs, whatever their number, to minority status. Hostility would become complete. It would not have come to this had the Arabs accepted Israel when it was established in a smaller space 34 years ago. But cumulative military defeats have only inflamed their sense of deprivation. Now that many of them may be ready to settle for the West Bank and Gaza, Israelis who once pined for just such boundaries have been politically and emotionally overwhelmed in their own society. Being the stronger now, the Israelis are pressing their advantage. The PLO's commitment to Israel's destruction blocks out every thought of generously offering the Palestinians their own homeland. Israelis shout down the idea that the security risks of dividing the West Bank may be preferable to permanent dominion over alien people. The motive of other nations' mediation is suspect. Her good reasons that start with oil.
That was pretty tricky. That was hard.
I disagree completely with that editorial. He leaves out the most important aspect. The most important. And that is, he mentions it in one sentence. The Israelis, the Palestinians are the conquerors. In time immemorial, Russia, Germany, France, United States, when you have a victory and you take over territory, people don't call that occupied. It's now yours. You won the war. And they didn't start that war. The Arabs came in, about 9 nations. They thought they could wipe out Israel. They lost. Arab took what it needed for, no, the Palestinians said, oh, just a minute, it's how we want to have a government, we want to have this, we want to have that. They lost the war. They joined in with all the other Arab countries that then now they should take the consequences. So this is the only instance in history where the nation that conquered someone else and took over territory, they're asking, give it back. Is the United States giving back half of Mexico that we took after the Mexican War?
Maybe there are Mexicans who would like that.
Yeah, they'd love it. And they say it's still their property. That half of Texas was Mexico.
Right.
And it wasn't even a boundary yet when that war was over in 1840 or 42. But Polk, who was the president, he said, oh no, we're taking, and he moved the boundary from some little rivulet about 90 miles up into Texas. That was the boundary from Mexico. He moved it down to the Rio Grande. He said, now that's going to be the boundary and we're going to take all that land. It's the history. Of course, you don't learn that in the United States history. You only learn that in Mexican history. So no one mentions that. He didn't mention a thing here. Oh, the Palestinians are they're conquered. We ought to, for the conquerors, give them all their land back. What about all the soldiers the Israelis lost to win the war that they didn't want to begin with? Anyway.